How to help a child with ADHD with time blindness. Hey there, I'm Charlotte Recalfa teaching for you. Thank you so much for joining me. ADHD is a neurodevelopmental condition that affects the brain, and it really does make it difficult for a child with ADHD, not all children, but a good amount of children, to manage and really understand and measure time. So if your child with ADHD, if you have a child with ADHD and you've noticed that they're struggling to figure out time, you know that they probably have time blindness. And here's an example. If you are working on a task, let's say a coloring activity, and you tell them, oh, we've got 5 minutes before we need to clean up. So you've given them a 5-minute warning, and the time has come, the time is up, everyone's cleaned up, you've gone to your child and you say, well, hey, it's been 15 minutes now. Most likely the child's going to say, no, it's not time. 5 minutes is not even gone yet, or has not been up yet. That's one of the indicators that either they're really immersed in what they're doing, or they just genuinely don't understand the concept of time in that manner, right? They may be able to read the time, but they don't understand how to measure time. So one of the tricky things, though, is a lot of people who have kids with ADHD, or teachers who have children with ADHD, it can be seen as defiant when you're saying, okay, time's up, it's been over 5 minutes, and the child says, no, 5 minutes it's not up yet, I'm still going to work on this. It can come across as being defiant, but the child with ADHD genuinely is not trying to defy you. I just want to make that clear. It's because they are struggling with time blindness. And so we as educators and parents can help them still have a successful year life even with this, and teach them to manage their time blindness. Okay? And honestly, I think today's episode is really going to be helpful for really any child, especially young children who are struggling with managing their time in general. So stay tuned for the rest of this. One other thing note that I want to make is that there's something that a lot of us like to do is plan ahead. So we might say, okay, we're going to do this. This is going to happen today. This is going to happen in a week. We're going to go on this field trip in 3 weeks. When a child with time blindness isn't able to measure time appropriately, they're most likely going to have 2 columns: things that are going to happen today or right now, and things that are going to happen in the future. And if something's going to happen in the future, it's not going to be as important as what's going to happen right now, and because that's the priority. But when something takes place in the future, I've noticed a lot of children will ask you, like, let's say you're supposed to go on a field trip in 3 weeks. A lot of the times you'll notice a child will ask you, is it time for the field trip today? And the next day, is it today? And you'll say, no, 3 weeks. Today? No, 2 weeks, because by then it's 2 weeks, and they'll keep doing it every single day or every few days, which to some teachers and some parents it can be annoying, but it's genuinely their inability to measure time again. Okay, so let's get into how we can help them measure time. So break it down. I call it the break it down game. It doesn't sound as exciting, but that's the most exciting way I can kind of put a twist to it. So the first thing you're going to do is write down on a piece of paper or somewhere, a poster, or wherever you're going to post this up, all the tasks the child needs to do. And the second thing you're going to do is break it down into like minute little details. This is going to be really annoying for you, but it really does need to happen so that your child with ADHD can visualize what's happening. Okay, so for example, one of the things we tend to do is say, hey, let's go put on your jacket and shoes and let's get going. What did we forget there? We forgot one thing. We don't just want them to put on a jacket and shoes. What goes inside the shoes? Not your feet. It's socks, then shoes. So what you want to write down is socks, shoes, jacket. This is what I meant by tedious, but if you break it down into the small bits, your child is able to visualize what they need to do, and it's almost like a checklist. Okay, I put my socks on, my shoes on, my jacket on. Okay, so the second thing is to break it down into the small bits. Then the third thing is to time it. Okay, so this is where the fun part comes. You don't want to just say, all right, let's just use a timer. Oh, sorry, it was my phone. Let's use a timer and let's get this going. No. One of the good things is you could time it to a favorite song or a couple of songs that your kids like. So how long does it take you to put on the songs? Okay, let's put the song on. So for me, if you were going to do something like this for me, Ed Sheeran or Christmas music, gosh, it would get me all excited, right? So that's what you want to do. Get them excited, get that buy-in right there. So put on some music, and when you put the music on, if it's YouTube, for example, you'll be able to see how long it took for this for them to put it on based on the amount of time it shows on the on YouTube or wherever that the song, how long it took for that song to keep, the duration of that song. So you can write that down. Write each of them down. So how long did it take to put on their socks? How long did it take to put on the shoes? How long did it take to put on the jacket? But please be mindful that you don't want to do all of it in one day. Do it over the course of a few days, because otherwise it gets to be too difficult and too much and too heavy work. Okay, so space it out. Step number 2 is let it ring. So what I mean by this is what you want to do is take your phone, or their phone actually, and put it into their phone. Put each task into the phone that needs to be done. Now you don't have to put on shoes and jacket and all, unless of course it needs to be done for that day because you're going on a big outing. You could build that into their routine over time. But what if they need to complete a specific task, like an assignment, or they've got to be at a soccer game or something, you want to put those into their calendar. And with that, you want to add at least 3 alarms. 5 minutes before it starts, or however long you think they need. Then when it actually starts, so that it gives them time to process, to get there, and then when it's over, so that it rings and they're like, oh, okay, time's up, and it says there, time's up, so that when they look at their phone, they can see that time is up and they can stop. Okay, so be very clear. What you also want to do here is, for younger kids who don't have phones, I'd use a visual timer. I've used this in my classroom. I've used this with my son. It works brilliantly because they can see how long they have, right? Now, one of the things you want to do is also include all of your kids. If you have multiple children at home, if you've got a class full, you can't do this for one child. It's just not possible. So include all of them and have them write down all of the steps. Have them, write down how long it takes based on the songs that you're playing. Okay, so include them. It'll help with if you're home, it helps with managing the children. If you're in class, it'll help with classroom management as well. Okay, and also, like I said, it'll help with all of your kids with managing their time. The next thing you want to do is create a buffer. This is number 3. So assume that something's going to happen. Just assume it, and things will take longer than you planned for. So if you planned for something to, like, let's say a field trip, to get ready for it, it's going to take you 30 minutes. Put a slot in 45 minutes. So give yourself at least 15 minutes of a buffer time. If it takes 30 minutes, great. You've got 15 minutes to breathe. Otherwise, you have extra time if it doesn't happen, right? So make sure you build in that buffer. So those are my 3 ways to help you with time blindness. There's a lot that you can do, and there's a lot more to it. This is just touching the surface. I want you to remember, though, that each child is different. Every child is unique. You need to alter this based on your child and not give them generalized times. Like, I think this is going to take the average person 5 minutes to do it, so let's write 5 minutes. No, time it. And then make sure you add in a buffer, because, depending on the day, a child may or may not be able to do it in, say, 5 minutes. So, yeah. Let's recap really quickly. We've looked at what time blindness is and how to help our children in 3 simple steps. Number 1 is the break it down game. Number 2 is let it ring. And number 3 is create a buffer. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. In the meantime, remember to create, experience, and teach from the heart. And also check out the full episode, because I've got more details there. I've also got a wonderful workshop coming up. I would love for you to join. Check it out in the section where it says next steps. Take care, and I'll see you in a little while. Bye.